I'm glad to have you on my interview series, Zoom interviews during COVID-19. Billy Apt is a barrister living in Texas, USA, and it's great having you here. So I'd like to ask you three questions. Um, the first one is, can you tell me which book has influenced you most? Which book at this particular point of time you consider the most influential in your life? I know that you've read a lot. The library is very deep, goes in different directions. But tell me of the one book that you think has made the most of impact on you.
I had to think about that a long time, Ronnie, because there have been many books that have influenced me at different times of my life. But after much reflection, I'd have to say it's a book I read in my early 20s when I was at university by the French writer Jean Genet. It was his novel Querelle. And what it made it so influential is that it was an entirely different universe that he writes about that was so completely different from my experience. It's a world of thieves and murderers and pimps and homosexuals. But what he does is he portrays this bizarre world just incomparably, so beautifully. And what impressed me the most was that here was a way of thinking that was entirely different from anything I was used to. He was able to take what would be to most people a very sordid world and turn it into a thing of beauty. And it was then that I realized that there were very different ways of thinking. And there were very different viewpoints that were totally alien, but could be things of beauty. And so that made a great impression on me.
Great. Yeah, that figures, I think that we are influenced mostly by stuff that we've come across during our 20s, that is, during our formative years. So can you tell me something about a film that has made a similar impact on you?
So much, I took in so much when I was young. So many, I think that's a tendency we have when we're young to range very freely intellectually. And I was thinking about a film that's made a great impact on me. And the film is one of Francois Truffaut's autobiographical films. This one was called Stolen Kisses.
Mm.
And it's a wonderful movie. It's a great movie about his angst-ridden alter ego, Antoine. And Antoine falls in love with this girl. And but then he realizes he doesn't love her. And so he breaks up with her. And she's a wonderful girl. And she doesn't understand why he's breaking up with her. And he says something, or actually Truffaut says something, which is one of the most profound concepts I've ever heard. And that is when the girl says to him, "Why are you breaking up with me?" He says, "Because I don't admire you. And without admiration, there is no love." And that has stuck with me all these years. So it's a great film, but it's that concept that there is no love without admiration that's so profound and so true, I think. And it resonates in every aspect of our life. We have to admire, and without admiration, we can't love.
That's really interesting. Beyond that interesting comment, I can't help noticing that the French tendency in your cultural inclinations. So I'll go on to the third question. And can you tell me of a political event or process that made a huge impact on you? And what I mean by political is not necessarily party politics, but anything that had happened in the social realm, politically in the old Greek sense.
Um, you mean something that's not that has political implications, but had a direct impact in my own life?
Yeah, something that's happened which is beyond your own private sphere.
You mean like a public event?
Yes.
Okay. For me, see, I grew up, I remember the assassination of President John Kennedy from when I was a child. I remember that day very vividly, but that wasn't what made the most impact for me. It wasn't until several years later when Senator Robert Kennedy, his brother, was assassinated in 1968. That I remember also, and that was a very profound event because that was a real cultural demarcation in our country, in America. Because what happened was after Robert Kennedy was assassinated, we had Richard Nixon.
Mm.
And Robert Kennedy, I believe, was the last really great, honorable, and capable public figure we had that ran for president. He wasn't. He was just a remarkable man, and I think he would have made a great president. And then he was cut down like his brother, and that was a great tragedy, I think. And that had a profound effect on me. I was, I believe, about 12 or 13 when that happened. And
Yes. Okay. Thank you for that. Would you like to conclude our session with some statement you'd like to make?
well, you know, it's a pleasure to hopefully provide my perspective, and I think it's a great thing what you're doing, Ronnie. And I look forward to seeing more of these and to seeing some of the other interviews.